Shooting the shiznit, shooting the shiznit. Best little wrestling podcast in the business. Your host BT and all his guests. You'll never know who he'll have next. Shooting the shiznit, shooting the shiznit. Best little wrestling podcast in the business. Shooting the shiznit.
All right. We're live from 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Ooh, I got out of breath. This is an stspod.club production. Now, all episodes, Memphis and May, well, we forgot somebody. We forgot a couple of somebodies. Every year we have leftovers. So welcome to one of our leftover episodes. It's Big John Dalton. How the hell are you, Big John Dalton?
Fantastic. Glad to be here. Once again, we're back.
That's right. Episode 639 in October of 2022. We had you and your dad, who were the first ever dad and son that we've ever had on the show. And I don't think we've ever had another dad and son. Nope, we haven't. Only one. We talked about, on that show, we actually talked about you getting into the business, you as a fan and all that. So what I want people to do, if you want to know all that stuff about BJD, go and listen to that episode. It's actually very unique to have your dad there with you, and I know he's always been a big supporter, and still is. We see him all the time on television. But this episode, I'm going to do something a little different. We're going to talk about your title reigns real quick because I want to hear you talk about both of them. And then here's what I did. And I'm going to pull back the curtain. Right before we started recording, I told you, I said, I'm going to do something special, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Okay. So this is the age of AI, right? Everybody's talking about AI, ChatGPT. So I reached into ChatGPT and I asked it to give me 10 questions to ask a professional wrestler.
Wow.
So we're going to ask you 10 questions. We're going to try to talk about your title range real quick. We're going to ask 5. We're going to go to commercial break, come back, and we're going to do the other 5. And also, on the Patreon version, if you're not a Patreon member, please join us because he's going to answer 5 more quick questions about food on the road. Should be fun. Those questions came from ChatGPT also. All right, tell me about, okay, so y'all came up with this storyline. Were you, Buff Bagwell's, you huge fan of Buff Bagwell's, all of this stuff was legit shoot, become friends with Buff. You end up going to the ring and winning the tag team belts, but they end up taking them away from you guys. That was in May of 2024, last year, episode 169, and you held the belts for a whole week. 170, they took them away from you. But you got so much press for that. How did it feel when everybody is seeing your name along with Buff Bagwell's?
Man, it was crazy because whenever the idea came to me, I didn't find out to the day of TV where we had our production meeting. I'm always there for that because I'm always wanting to be in the loop, see where I can help out, and especially guys that start out training in wrestling, they'll learn about paying their dues and stuff they can do to help out and try to be a valuable player of the team, you know. And so I'm always in a production meeting. I'm always listening. And they didn't really speak on it really in the production meeting. So I was like, okay. I kind of knew Buff was here, didn't know really what was going on. Well, then we have our 11 o'clock meeting where everybody gathers up and we talk about what's going on today, who's a special guest and stuff. So that was kind of it. And then Dustin pointed to the side and he was like, all right, let's get everybody together. And then he told me what was happening. And then we went out there, we did the thing. And then he was like, bro, you just don't know. Like, I was like, Dustin, this means a lot to me. But he was like, you don't even realize what's going to happen. And then whenever it aired, it was like, it blew up. And I was like, holy crap. Like, you had Fightful and all these, just like it was going everywhere on all my social media, and it really blew up some of my followers on some of my things. And there for a minute, I had views that kept rising and rising. Memphis Wrestling's views rose from it. So that just with it being with Buff was really special for me. But then me being a headliner really meant something even more at a young age for me. So
And so you just, how are you 17 or 18 now?
I'm 19 now.
19, you just graduated from high school. You have been a professional wrestler for officially how many years? Year and a half now?
4
4 years. It doesn't feel that long.
does
God.
not.
Jesus. Well, some of the greats in professional wrestling started. Bobby Eaton, Terry Gordy, all started right there when they was 12 or 13 years old. So I'm excited, and you say what, future WWE legend or future WWE champ. Y'all do some of that. Does that feel like any kind of pressure that you put on yourself for saying something like that?
It does, and then it doesn't, if that makes sense. It does whenever you break it down and you say future Hall of Famer, and but then I have my dad or my family there to back me up, saying like, I know you can do this. I know one day, without a shadow of a doubt, you can eventually be a Hall of Famer. And so the fact that they even give me that moniker of calling me a future Hall of Famer, it means a lot to me, because not only do other people but myself see so much potential that I could be really good one day, hopefully.
I noticed something, and I mentioned this to Dustin about you, that you, at a very young age right now, you get it. There's some things that you get that I've seen people that's been in the business for a long time not understand it. You get the psychology. You get that you have to get there in front of the fans when you're at a house show. You go places to do personal appearances. You get out there to try to get shows at other places. And I know this is not something probably, maybe, I don't know. Is this something you think about? Look, I got to know how to do it all.
100%. Dustin was really the guy that kind of took me under his wing, per se. Especially ever since I signed up to start training at the Wrestle Center, I had great coaches. I mean, and I can never tell you who my coaches were, because a lot of people came in and helped. A lot of people came to training, and it was just like a big everybody was my older brother, more so, like. But Dustin was the one that kind of sat me down, was like, look, I started at the same age you were, I was in the same boat you were, I've done this is what helped me. And he goes, I've learned to referee, I've learned to do the camera work, I've learned to do security, I've learned how to put and take down a ring. He's done it. He's like, he said he literally done it all. And the more you learn, the more chance you have of making it in the business. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I started learning how to do a security. I started learning how to work a camera. I started learning how to do video editing. I started learning how to referee. And then the training kept progressing. And then that's finally was like, okay, maybe you're ready. You can do this, this, and this. Let's see what you got now. And like I said, I had Derek King helping me. I had Alan Steele helping me. Aaron Roberts would stop by, and now he's a WWE ID. Like people like that. There was just somebody always coming through the Wrestle Center, and you never knew who was going to show up and help.
Awesome. I mean, that's a good thing about having a good team like that. The WWID thing, is that something that really has excited the Wrestle Center about, and the idea that you could be, and you've been seen by WWE people. Let's make sure everyone knows that. We know that you have, but does that mean there is a chance? There is more of a chance now because of that.
Yes, sir. I think it absolutely does, and if it don't, I think it should, because it does for me. Because I see somebody that I've wrestled before, someone I've took knowledge from, become a WWE ID, and it just makes me put a fire under my ass and say, I need to get my ass to work. I need to get in shape. I need to do every little thing right, so one day I can be a WWE ID or a signed professional wrestler, to say. But yeah, absolutely. I think once the ID hit the Wrestle Center, everybody just kind of started to up their game.
Awesome, awesome. I know Aaron has upped his game very much so. Even after getting the ID, I've noticed, the slight little improvements of what he's doing. So you talked about all this stuff you learn, and I'm a firm believer that in the wrestling business, there's always something for somebody. If you truly want to work in the wrestling business, we can give you something to do. You can set up chairs, you can do security, you can use the camera, and that's kind of why I do what I've done. I was in the business in this area for 5 years, just on the road doing stuff. I did photography, I did a website, and now I do podcasts. I'm from home, and then I'm able to help Memphis Wrestling with what we do. Would there be a time where you say, okay, I don't want this to happen, knock on wood, but you get hurt, you're not going to be able to wrestle that much anymore? Would you think of yourself as just working behind the scenes?
Oh, absolutely. If the WWE called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, we want you to come hold a camera," I'd be right there. Yeah, if they want me to be a janitor, that's how much the business and being to that next level really means to me. If there's any way I can get my foot in the door, whether I never become a wrestler in the WWE, I could still say one day I've made it to the WWE, or I've made it to TNA, I've made it to wherever my journey goes. I can say however I get there, I've been there.
Right.
So
And that's what I said we had talked about on the WTF show about Joe Hendry. There was so much backlash of people not understanding, people that didn't understand the business. Like, why did he do that? Why? What? Why wouldn't you do that? You're at
right.
WrestleMania. And I'm not saying this is a negative thing. I want people to think that I'm not talking down to anyone. But if you haven't been around and have opportunity inside of what's going on in the business, you will never understand that being at WrestleMania and taking an RKO, what that means. And you would never, ever say no to something like that. And I remember saying pretty much what you said. If someone called me from the WWE and wanted to know if I wanted to be the janitor, I would do that. By the way, I'm wearing your shirt that your dad sent to me. So there you go. Paid advertisement. All right, let's talk about your current run. You're currently started on episode 216. K Toomer and Big John Dalton, known as the Big Mains, tag team champions. How do you like tagging with K Toomer?
It's great. I love the big man. He's it's been fun working with him. He showed me a lot of stuff that I didn't realize. Like I said, it's just a big brother moment. He showed me stuff that I didn't think I'd ever use, or I never thought I'd do it that way. And then it kind of made me like realize, oh wait, maybe if I do it this way, and that's kind of pulling the curtain back. He's just like, hey, try it this way. And I was like, okay, I'll try it this way. And then it looks 10 times better than I've ever done it. So working with K Toomer is definitely a pro for me, man. I really loved working with him. He's just a bad mofo and ready to kick some tail.
You're going to hear this. You're going to hear me, what I'm fixing to say a bunch, and you probably still do, is just don't quit learning. And at your age and you're part of the business, you just never say, I know everything. I have had,
100%.
I learn stuff now. And I've learned a lot since we started doing Memphis Wrestling about finishes and quality of matches and how we write TV and blah, blah, blah. And I've been around forever. I've been around the business taking pictures since, I want to say 1990, 1989. You wouldn't even thought about it since then. So, but you learn something every day and don't ever, it's the difference between, me and Dustin talked about this, even the slight difference of doing a TV match, an 8-minute TV match, and doing a house show match. They're totally
100%.
different animals. You get out there, you're able to work the crowd, listen to the crowd and all that. That's not what you're doing for TV. Great. So since you won the tag team titles from above, got this with K Toomer as a tag team, the thing about it is tag team's all about ever who takes the heat. You get a babyface gets shine, ever who takes the heat, a hot tag, boom, boom, boom. Is that something you enjoy doing, the tag team? Since you don't have to wrestle the whole time you're out there, but
No,
what is your thoughts on tag team?
I enjoy it. I actually I think I could consider myself a great tag team wrestler. I consider myself a utility player. You need me to do a tag, I can do it. I can do it to the best of my ability. You need me to be a single wrestler, I can do it. Trios, whatever you need, I can do it. I'd say. Some other people might not agree, but I think it's a coincidence or funny to me that Buff Bagwell, he was a fantastic tag team wrestler, and here I am, two-time Memphis Wrestling Tag Team Champion.
There you
So
go. Yeah. So let me tell. It's just me and you here. All right. No one's listening to this part. All right. So
right.
does Toomer make you take the heat all the time, or what's going on?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. He it's always it really both of us end up taking the heat. We've been having the Hollywood Click jump us for the last few of our matches, so
And you know that's something you need to talk to Simon about. The posse was always so popular in this area because they took double heat. They just went out there and got their ass whipped for 20 minutes, and then somebody made the second hot tag. They do the hot tag, Chris would, and then they cut Chris off or cut Simon off. But that's what made them really popular. Good stuff there. But we're going to go to ChatGPT now. I'm excited about this, and I just thought about it in the middle of today. Last night I was thinking right before I went to bed about how it would be fun to see what ChatGPT would come up with. So the 10 questions, let's try to get 5, and then we'll take a short commercial break. Let's look at this. What match or moment made you fall in love with wrestling?
I'd have to say it'd have to be first time seeing the Buff Bagwell, honestly. My dad, he'd sit me down, we'd watch wrestling. It was hardly ever on cartoons. It was pro wrestling. 2010, 2008 years of SmackDown versus Raw and stuff. And I kind of remember, I kind of just remember Big Show, John Cena type of thing. But then whenever I got focused and I actually sat down and watched an independent show, and Buff Bagwell was in Ripley, Mississippi, and he told me, it was like, this guy right here, I grew up watching him, and I was like, wow. And he's still wrestling. He looked great. He had the biceps. He just looked like something you'd seen off a movie before. And I was like, I want to be like him. And that's really, from then on, I fell in love with Buff Bagwell and professional wrestling.
Awesome. Now this is one of those, and I'm going to kind of rephrase it, but it says, what's your most underrated match? What match did you have, either TV or at the a spot show, and you was so proud of it, but you didn't have anyone come and patting you on the back about it? Can you think of something like that?
Let's see here. Ooh. Me and Main Event Bradley had a hardcore Dirty Bird title match at my school. Of course, it didn't get put publicly on the YouTube. It might have made YouTube, but it didn't get put widely as the Memphis Wrestling TV shows. It was a little house show we did for my school.
Right.
And I thought that was absolutely one of my favorite matches. That, or anytime I work with Mike Anthony, that's always a killer match. It's something that I'm proud of. That knowing that I can step out of my comfort zone and I can hang with the big dogs.
Two of the best on Memphis Wrestling right there. Yeah. Good. I just talked about Main Event Bradley to someone who reached out to me about him, and I was like, yeah, you need to watch him. He's getting better and better and better. Him and Mike are the real pros there. So all right, what's something about being a wrestler that fans totally misunderstand?
The work behind the scenes. I mean, it's just like any other sport. You got to show up Monday through Friday, put in work inside and outside the ring. They don't really realize. They just think, we go out there and put on a show for them, which we do. but they don't. I don't think they give wrestlers enough credit for how they have to sacrifice missing birthdays, Christmases, dinners, anything like that, and just being on the road 24/7, inside the ring, always a possibility of ending your life or ending your wrestling career. I really think that's misunderstood. They just think we're out there wrestling.
I agree 100%. It's one of those things that it's you don't get it unless you're doing it. And I was not a wrestler. I was just on the road. I was a manager, so I understand the road and all that. But no one understands the training. I never trained to be a wrestler. Well, I did, but I was absolutely god awful horrible. Whatever wrestler you can think about that was super bad, that was me. If you could cut a promo on any wrestler, past or present, who would it be? No, that's a good question because that tells you who you were a big fan of. So
yeah, I would love to. Well, I have cut a promo with both. That would be one of my favorite ones. But I would love to cut a promo on the Miz. I think Miz is very hateable. I think Miz needs more credit too. I think he's one of the biggest heels in the WWE currently. And so I've always hated the Miz. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, one of the most underrated guys. And if you go out and watch his matches, you can learn some psychology. Man, he is a psychology guy, especially on a Monday night TV show or SmackDown or something like that. Ooh. Just excellent in the ring for that kind of stuff. Okay, so what's the next big thing outside? What do you want to do? What do you want to do after you lose the tag team belts? What are you going to be doing after that? What does Big John Dalton want to do?
What do I want to do? I want all the gold. So, I've wrestled for the internet title. I've lost. I wrestled for the Memphis Heritage Championship, and I've lost. So if I could ever go back in time and redo those, or if that's the next thing it leads me to, I'd really like to get my hands on some gold.
Awesome,
whether it be the Memphis Heritage title or the internet title.
What after Memphis? What is there in between going to WWE or going to AEW? Are you going to get, because I noticed something that Aaron did, in that he got out of, the comfort zone. He got out of this area and started working. I'm not talking about working for EPW, nothing against EPW. I like EPW, but nothing, not working one of these independents in Memphis. I'm talking about out of town. Is that something you think about doing?
Yeah, I've worked in some other shows. I got another one for the first time. It's on the other side of Arkansas. I'll be in there in August. But if you're talking about long term, hopefully if all works out, I go from Memphis to whatever's the next biggest promotion, whether it be TNA, AEW, or WWE. But I feel like there's not much bigger than Memphis, especially around the Mid-South area. But if there is something bigger, I would love to go out there. But Memphis is home to me. That's my house. Whose house? Dalton's house. So the next step is not to go backwards, but to go forward. So whatever that may be is where I'll be.
All right, awesome, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we got 5 more questions. We'll say goodbye, and we'll go to Patreon for 5 more questions. So here we go. Real quick commercial break.
Saturday, June 21st. Excuse me. Meet Vicky Guerrero live at the Tupelo Furniture Market in Tupelo, Mississippi. Sunday, June 29th. James Ellsworth returns to Memphis Wrestling. Saturday, July 12th. Don't miss Luchador Wrestling Night with the Arkansas Travelers in Little Rock, featuring former WWE United States Champion Kalisto. July 17th and 18th, Memphis Wrestling Kids Camp returns. Registration is now open. Sunday, July 20th. Don't miss Gilbert.
Don't miss MCW live every Friday night right there in Osceola, Arkansas. Also upcoming Saturday night, June the 14th, MCW presents Breaking Point. One night, no turning back. Mark Tree, Arkansas. Doors open at 5 p.m. Bell time at 6 p.m. Bodies will break. Alliances will crumble. Titles will hang in the balance. Be there as your favorite MCW superstar. Step into the fire with no way out. Card is subject to change, and you'll see these superstars: Draco, Mike Anthony, Action Jackson, Sean Hooteridge, Chase McCoy, CJ Money, Serpent 187, C Money, Prodigy, Party Factor, Galen Ray, the LA Hustlers, and many, many more. Here's what I want you to do. If you have any questions, I want you to search Facebook for Osceola's Mid-Southern Championship Wrestling. All ticket information, how to get your ticket, what time the show starts, everything right there on Facebook. All tickets are on sale right now. Be there! All right, we're back. Let's go. This is a good one because the best I can tell from everyone I've talked to, and I don't talk to a lot of people, but I do talk to some of the guys that I've known forever that work for Memphis Wrestling. You're known as a team player. You even kind of mentioned it earlier in this conversation. But has there ever been something like a gimmick or an angle that they said, hey, we want you to do this, and you turned it down?
No.
And so tell me and the listeners here why you wouldn't turn something down.
Because first of all, if it's anything in front of a camera and they offer you something, I've watched many of guys say no, thank you, and then that's the last time you might have seen them or seen them for a while at least. You know, it's always the next guy up. So you want to seize on every opportunity you can get. You know, if Dustin tells me, hey, go out there and have a hot dog contest, stay tuned. I'm gonna go out there and have a hot dog contest. You know, there's no reason to be upset or mad about the position you're in because I've watched many of cases where you started from the bottom and you worked your way up. You know, even best example I could think of off the top of my head, Mike Anthony. You know, he was the Memphis Heritage champion. Then whenever he lost, he went down to the bottom, the very bottom, and he has worked his way back up, and he is on top of the world. I think Memphis is at least top 3 of one of the best performers Memphis Wrestling has to offer. Mike Anthony, you know, he could be that guy or he could be the guy that puts everyone over. So never complain about what you're offered. Always take it or it's going to go to the next guy up. And that's in anything you do.
You're right, 100%. A lot of people don't understand that. Me and Dustin's talked about this. We actually talked about it on the last Shooting Star. People, especially a lot of guys like what do we say, little fish in a big pond or something, or big fish in little pond, or big fish in a little pond. And Derek King could be one of the first people to tell you that might have been his mistake without being a huge star. Not that he wasn't a star, but I'm just saying was that he enjoyed this area and working smaller places. Who is somebody or a past that's in the Memphis Wrestling or that you wrestled at another promotion, the indie scene, that you think deserves more attention? Who's so talented that we need to start looking at them?
That's a good question.
Got to put somebody over here, Big John.
Let's see here. Man. The O'Neills are really talented. And they're starting to get a big push. You know, they've always had a decent push, but I think they're kind of looked over by fans and stuff, especially. So them are some top 2, one of the best tag teams I've gotten to work with.
And they're getting better. That's the thing. Doing television is one of those things where the guys that's been around for a while, like those guys, but they never did TV. They didn't have to be crisp, but they are getting crisper now. So, all right, here's a good one, and I'll tell you mine. What's the strangest venue or location you've ever wrestled in? Let me tell you, we wrestled in a shed one night with a dirt floor, and Derek King was there, so he was on my card that night. But yeah, dirt floor, dressing room, in a shed. So we had drew 102 people, by the way, in that shed. So what is a strange place that you worked?
Strange place that I've worked.
I know you've done baseball fields.
I've done baseball. Honestly, one that really comes to mind was a small town that maybe had 50 people in that town. I want to say it wasn't. It started with green. It was something green. It's somewhere in Mississippi, Crenshaw, Mississippi. We wrestled in a little. I don't even know how they fit a fire truck in there, and a little fire department. And I was still a referee at the time. I'll never forget that. That was really strange. I was like, we're in this little town where they had a gas station, a fire department, and a Dollar General, and we wrestled there. So
there's a place in Mississippi that we used to. Part of me wants to say it's Potts Camp, Mississippi, but I'm not. I can't remember.
I've heard of Potts Camp.
There was a fire department there that we used to do all the time, and it was a little.
My dad was there.
Probably was.
That's his area.
All right, cool. I believe it was Potts Camp. I'll have to look about that. What pre-match? Now everybody has their little things that they do, but you got any pre-match rituals that you do, or superstitions you have before you step through the curtain? Now I'm not a religious man. Everybody knows that's very close to me knows that I'm not really religious, but I always got butterflies right before it was time to go through the curtain. No matter what, no matter where I was at, I would always bow my head and say, "Don't let me get hurt." And then boom, I was out. But until I went through the curtain, I had the butterflies. The butterflies were gone when I was in front of the crowd. But is there anything you do? Do you tape your left pinky or your right big toe or something like that?
A couple things. I always do say a prayer for my safety and my opponent's safety. I am a religious guy. But then I also always have to piss right before I go out. I always have to piss. It's weird. It's like I could have peed 5 seconds ago, but right whenever I go out, it's like, oh my goodness. I think that's just a little bit of the butterfly effect, maybe. Also, Main Event Bradley, he's a big Star Wars guy. So whenever we had our feud, we would always say, he'd always go up to me and say, "May the Force be with you." And so I thought that was always pretty neat. You know, anytime Bradley's ever wrestled somebody, I think he does that. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah. Also back to I don't know why this just hit me. Back to someone that I think is underrated or we need to look at more. Some of the trainees that just debuted. CJ Blaine is one, Mikhail, 7, but Vashon Harvey. That's the guy. I think he's going to be the next guy up, I think, in my eyes.
Awesome. He's got a lot. Green as grass is what I like to say. He's got to get, like we talked about, getting crisper. He's got to get crisper. All right. So WWE calls you got 5 minutes on television, live, 5 minutes, uncensored. They're going to let you go out there. They'll let you put yourself over. They're going to let you cut a promo. What's the one thing you think you could say to get yourself over?
Wow.
What would you say in that promo that would make the wrestling world say, "Hey, we're going to get behind Big John Dalton"?
Man, I don't even know, BT. That's a great
That's a good one, ain't it?
Yeah. I would I definitely get my moniker in that I'm the babyface beast, the future Hall of Famer, BJD, Big John Dalton. Man, I don't know what I'd have to hit because WWE is a monster, you know. You got to hit them with something that is over the top. And when it comes to over the top, man, I'm just not sure what would catch the WWE's eye, you know.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, 19 years old. You know, if you wouldn't crap your pants on TV, that would be like what you just said. Plus, putting over the fact you are 19 years old, I think that would help get you over. You know, it's not gonna be WWE. This is Chad GBT. Don't know that, but you know, you end up going somewhere else first. But it is. It sometimes is all about that 5 minutes and who sees you and what
Right,
happens in the rest of
100%.
the business. It's where you're at, who sees you, and who likes you. So, I mean, it's probably can be said about Aaron Roberts too. There was a couple of people that had their eye on Aaron. And as soon as this WWE ID thing came up, they said, hey, we already seen him kind of thing. So, all right, guys, we're going to do, you guys subscribe, $5 on Patreon. We're going to do 5 questions about food in the wrestling business. This is going to be fun, y'all. This will really be fun. Join us, but as everyone knows, same bat time, same bat channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there, and as BJD knows, I love my mama.
Mama.
Thanks, man.